Hello, this is Joe Markowitz with today's Liberty Dispatch. The title of today's Liberty Dispatch is called The American Nightmare. Okay? And pretty much I'm just going to tell you, this is not a story. This is real life. One of my personal friends. I want to just paint a picture for you. If you can see this. A single mom who in the fall this year was moving from Michigan to Arizona. Her name is Ann, and I've known Ann for years. Single mom, young son, still in diapers. She's selling her business in Michigan. She's picking up roots, starting her life fresh, going to Arizona. She set up a residence in Pima County, Arizona, and while she was there taking care of her affairs, she registered to vote. She's now a registered voter in the state of Arizona. So at the end of October, she heads back to Michigan to go take care of all of her personal affairs, close out accounts. She had to sell her business. She had to pack up all of her belongings, load up. She did this by herself, load up a U-Haul truck. She sold her house. It's got her son, got a dog, and loads up a U-Haul, all of her personal life belongings, and she starts heading to Arizona. And now, it took her 2 days and 4 hours. Her goal was to make it to Arizona, to Pima County, Tucson's in Pima County, and for one reason, she was going to vote. She was going to cast her vote in the national election. Actually, not just for president, but all the down ballot candidates, which she had researched, and she was on a mission. This is close to 30 hours of driving time. By the way, this is so important to her to vote in person. Her vote is as important to her as her own freedom as an American citizen is. It is that important. And so she made a beeline. Rest stops, short little naps, changing diapers on the way at rest stops, eating fast food, staying at a couple of nasty hotels just to get a few hours of sleep, to be able to get a shower, change your clothes, and get back on the road. Can you picture it? She's driving all the way herself, single mom, all the way from Michigan, all the way to Arizona, with one mission in mind. She's going to make it back to cast her vote. It's so important to her. Exhausted, she shows up at the polling station in Pima County 24 minutes prior to poll closing. By the way, Pima County generally is a very red county, Republican-heavy county. By the time she's walking in and casting her vote, it was right around that time, believe it or not, that Fox News is calling Arizona for Biden. The polls are hardly even closed, and Fox News has some inside information. How could this be? Really, I mean, Trump won it in 2016 by a sizable margin, 3 or 4 points, something like that. And there was no indication that there was going to be now that much of a shift. But be that as it may, and she gets in there just in time, 24 minutes before poll closing, exhausted, needs a shower, got a kid in her arms that probably just it needs to be fed. You get the picture. She hurries in, and the ballot watcher signs her in. She presents her ID. She now has her ballot. She's given a Sharpie. Side note, Sharpies on these ballots are not readable in the scanning machines. Of course, Ann didn't know that. She's not told that. Her and multiple other people, in fact, everybody in line that she saw, was handed a Sharpie. When finished voting, she went to personally slide in and feed her ballot, her vote, in this election, in this Democratic Republic. She went to feed that ballot into the scanning machine, and a poll watcher stopped her and all the other people just trying to get their vote in on time and said, no, it's too late right now. We need you to give us the ballot, and we're going to put it in a lockbox. And then later on, when the polls close, we will personally feed it into the scanning machine. This is not me making this up. This is Ann's personal testimony, and she's willing to give a sworn affidavit. This is very illegal, by the way. And so she said she refused. I asked her. She said, "I refuse. I'm going to personally put my ballot in that scanning machine." She was not given a choice. She said, "I promise. We're going to take all these ballots, and after the polls close, we'll feed them into the scanning machines." You know, there is a website that you can go to in Pima County. It is the Pima County Records Office, where you could actually check your ballot that it was that not only you registered yes, but also that the vote was tabulated. To this day, Sunday, November 29th, you go to that website, she goes to that website, and she checks her name. It shows that she's registered, but she never voted. Is she furious? Well, would you be? Would you be? This is why I call it the American nightmare. How about you? How would you feel? This is so important to her, and she's absolutely furious. And right now, as of today, her vote, it says that her vote was never cast. How would you feel? She watches the news that night and she sees it appears to be a Trump landslide, which I still believe it was. But almost simultaneously, almost the same time, swing states all shut down their counting almost simultaneously. Sent home the poll watchers, said we'll resume in the morning. But meanwhile, after poll watchers and most of the counters, all the staff are sent home, in the middle of the night, counting resumes. And massive numbers of ballots show up in places like Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia. What is this pipe burst? That's BS. And Virginia, and many other places I can keep on naming, and where most of those, 90% plus of those mysterious ballots show up in the middle of the night after polls close, after the counting has been simultaneously stopped, 90% of them for Biden. You have multiple reports of mail-in ballots that don't match signatures. You have multiple reports of military absentee ballots that are nearly 100% for Biden. Who is really going to believe that? You have a red wave. You have at this moment every single seat that the Republicans had to defend, they did. And they took 14 House seats from the Democrats, and there's still more coming. Still more coming. We may very well have the Republicans have the House of Representatives. You have major state legislature increases for Republicans, state houses, governorships increase for Republicans, and we're supposed to believe that the guy who stayed in the basement the whole time, who couldn't even pull together 30, 40, 50 people at a rally, got 80 million votes? No, I don't believe it. I call it very suspect. I really do. And so here's how I wrap this thing on up. How would you feel if that was you? And I don't care whether you're Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, it doesn't matter. How would you feel if your vote really didn't matter? That some nefarious organizations, be it international or a conglomeration of very powerful interests who are able to manipulate and in a corrupt manner, fraudulent manner, change people's votes or nullify somebody's vote and replace it 1 for 1 or maybe twice or 10 or 100 votes for the opponent. I don't care who you are, Republican, Democrat, right, left, it doesn't matter. How would you feel if your vote really doesn't matter because nefarious, very powerful interests who are able to very cleverly manipulate the vote? How would you feel? How would you feel? And that is where we are on November 29, 2020. This is Joe Markowitz with your Liberty Dispatch.